When Adrien Broner faced off against Adrian Granados, it wasn't just a boxing match. It was a gritty, high-stakes battle between two fighters with something to prove. Broner, the flashy former world champion from Cincinnati, had the spotlight firmly on him. Known for his slick skills and loud personality, Broner had reached heights many only dream of, winning titles in 4 different weight divisions. But by the time this fight came around, his star had dimmed slightly. A string of underwhelming performances and out-of-the-ring distractions had cast doubt on whether Broner could still live up to his nickname, The Problem. On the other side stood Adrian Granados, a Mexican-American fighter from Chicago, who had taken the hard road to relevance. Granados wasn't a household name, but those in the know respected him. He had a record that didn't tell the full story. He'd taken tough fights, often on short notice, and had gone toe-to-toe with elite opponents. What he lacked in fame, he made up for in heart and hustle. For Granados, this fight was an opportunity, maybe the biggest of his career. Beating Broner would catapult him from fringe contender to serious player in the stacked 140-147-pound division. From the opening bell, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a walk in the park for either man. Granados came out like a man on fire, pressing the action and refusing to let Broner get comfortable. He threw punches from awkward angles, swarmed inside, and made things rough. Broner, known for his sharp counterpunching and slick defense, tried to establish his rhythm early, looking to pick Granados apart with clean shots. But Granados wasn't giving him time to breathe. Every second of every round he was in Broner's face, throwing punches and making him fight under pressure. As the fight wore on, Broner began to settle in. His punches were cleaner, more accurate, and often more eye-catching. He landed crisp uppercuts, sharp right hands, and slick counters that made the crowd roar. But Granados just kept coming. Even when he ate big shots, he never took a backward step. He pushed Broner against the ropes, banged the body, and turned every round into a gritty, exhausting battle. While Broner looked for clean scoring opportunities, Granados fought like a man trying to drag him into the mud. By the 3rd and 4th rounds, it was a true clash of styles. Granados was outworking Broner, throwing more punches and keeping up the pressure. Broner, in contrast, was banking on his accuracy and timing. The rounds were close, hard to score. For every clean right hand Broner landed, Granados responded with a flurry that might not all connect, but kept the judges' eyes glued to the action. There were no knockdowns, no dramatic momentum swings, just non-stop, back-and-forth fighting. As the middle rounds passed, the pattern remained the same. Broner had moments of brilliance, especially when he caught Granados coming in. His defense tightened up and he started slipping punches, landing sharp counters that snapped Granados' head back. But even when Broner landed the cleaner shots, Granados often threw twice as many. He didn't seem to care about finesse, he just wanted to win the war of attrition. In a fight like this, it was hard to tell what the judges were seeing. Did they value Broner's cleaner punching or Granados' relentless aggression? By the 7th round, both men showed signs of fatigue. The pace had been intense, and neither had taken a break. Granados' face began to swell slightly, showing the effects of Broner's power punches. Broner, too, looked tired, his mouth open between exchanges, breathing heavily. But even as fatigue set in, neither fighter took their foot off the gas. Granados kept charging forward, smothering Broner's offense and pushing him back. Broner, in turn, looked for moments to plant his feet and fire off hard counters. At times, he'd explode with a clean combination, but Granados would absorb it and come right back. By the 9th round, the tension had reached a boiling point. Both fighters knew the outcome was still up in the air. The crowd roared with every exchange. In the corners, both trainers were urging their men to give everything they had left. This was no longer about strategy. This was about guts, about who wanted it more. Every time Granados got close, Broner would fire a sharp uppercut or a right hand that would land flush. Every time Broner tried to retreat or create distance, Granados would close the gap, banging the body, forcing him to fight. The 10th and final round was a mini-war on its own. The crowd stood and cheered as both men met in the center of the ring. There were no clinches, no dancing, just pure fighting. Granados pinned Broner to the ropes early in the round, letting loose with a flurry of punches to the head and body. Broner tried to spin out but got caught with a couple of hooks in the process. Then Broner fired back with a right hand that snapped Granados' head back, followed by a tight left hook that landed clean. They fought like men possessed, knowing everything they'd worked for was riding on this last 3 minutes. When the final bell rang, both fighters raised their hands. They embraced briefly, a sign of mutual respect earned through 10 brutal rounds. The crowd cheered loudly, appreciating the heart and effort both men had shown. There was no clear winner to the eye. The fans, the commentators, and even the fighters themselves weren't sure how it would go. The decision went to the judges. Then came the announcement, a split decision. The crowd buzzed, knowing it had been that close. One judge had it for Granados. The other 2 had it for Broner. Adrien Broner had his hand raised in victory, but it was far from a dominant performance. He had survived a war and walked away with the win, but Granados had pushed him to the edge. Granados, visibly frustrated, nodded and kept his composure. He had fought his heart out, pushed the former world champ to the limit, and came within a hair of pulling off a major upset. To many fans watching, he had done enough to win. But as always in boxing, the only opinions that mattered were the 3 sitting ringside. Broner, in his post-fight interview, gave Granados credit. He said it was a tough fight and acknowledged that Granados came to win. But he also defended the decision, pointing out that he landed the cleaner punches and showed better defense. He smiled for the cameras but looked tired, perhaps even relieved. He knew he had been in a real fight. Granados, speaking afterward, didn't hide his disappointment. He believed he won. He talked about how he pushed the action, threw more punches, and made the fight. He said he hoped to get another big opportunity, knowing that fans appreciated what he brought to the ring. And they did. Social media lit up with support for the underdog, praising his effort, grit, and relentless pressure. The fight wasn't a classic in the technical sense. There were no knockdowns, no dramatic shifts in momentum, but it was a fight fans would remember. It was raw, competitive, and real. 2 tough men standing toe-to-toe, refusing to back down. It was everything that makes boxing such a compelling sport, not just about who's faster or more skilled, but who's willing to dig deeper, fight through pain, and chase victory with every ounce of strength. For Broner, it was a step forward, but not without questions. He won, but it was close. Maybe too close for comfort. He showed flashes of his old brilliance, but also looked vulnerable. Critics wondered whether he was still elite or just living off his name. For Granados, the fight was a coming-out party. Even in defeat, he gained fans, respect, and future opportunities. He had gone toe-to-toe with a world-class fighter and left nothing in the ring. In the months that followed, both men went their separate ways in the boxing world. But their clash remained a talking point. Fans wanted a rematch, but it never came. That night, however, they gave us something special: 10 rounds of heart, hustle, and pure boxing spirit. A fight that proved once again that in this sport, sometimes it's not just about who wins or loses, it's about the fight itself. And this fight, this one was unforgettable.